Hello everyone, Krydax here, and welcome back to pYanodon's Season 3. In our last episode, we got some stuff done, like getting Ash finally plugged in to our train system. So that way, we can utilize this system, which we also put in, to make flue gas, to make whatchamacallit, and to make, rich clay. Flue gas, all sorts of other stuff. So rich clay is now going to be provided in huge quantities, and something I know I'm gonna get a comment on from yesterday's episode. I haven't, I'm a little bit ahead recording wise, so I'm guessing I'm gonna get comments about why don't you just use the rich clay plus sand to stone brick recipe? Because that is another stone brick recipe. I mean, there's a couple reasons. First of all, it is 2 rich clay per stone brick, so it kind of replaces stone in a way. But it also requires 1.5 parts of sand per stone brick, which is a pretty huge amount. So it's like, even though, yeah, the rich clay is sort of free in a way, like I could always utilize byproduct rich clay. There's a world where I just utilize byproduct rich clay and byproduct sand to make stone bricks. Like, that's an option. Because, we could just do that on channel 2. So then we have byproduct stone bricks that only show up when we have excess of both of those things. So that could work. Right here, though, we don't have rich clay being provided on channel 2. So we would have to make a separate rich clay section. And but see, the problem is if we're making rich clay, then we're not making the soot and we're not making the flue gas, and I want to make both of those things too. So it just starts to get into this complicated mess of priorities, and I'm not really sure what else we can do for that. And really, sand, we're not making very much sand either. The only place that we're getting significant amounts of sand is from Tufra. We're not doing this anywhere else, and this isn't even running a lot of the time now that everything's backed up. So I don't think it's the best idea. I think for now, making stone brick from stone is still the way to go. I think it's easier to just process the shale oil from mining more stone. And we have lots of other stone patches, right? If we need to add in another stone patch, we easily can. There's one right here. There's another one close to our base somewhere. I mean, there's 2 over here. So we can easily add in more of this, right? This is not that hard. And that's the only price of doing business for mining stone. Otherwise, the stone's just free. And we can even use the Keragen to smelt the stone itself. So it's a really easy process. We are struggling a little bit with stone contents, but it looks like this is starting to catch up, potentially. The other thing we're not doing is redirecting the stone from all of our metals processing, and that's like a decent amount of stone over time and gravel that we could be putting into the train network. Right now, that stone and gravel is being sent to... Wait, where's the stone being sent? Oh, the stone's being sent all over the place. It's being sent to here, which is just excess gravel. So that's pretty useless. We'll remake tiles eventually anyway, as part of our Pi 2 revamp. The other place the stone is going is this way, which is just for supplementing the stone that we're mining. So you know what? I think it might be time to throw in... Do we have any trash? There's a biocrud trash. I don't have a super trasher anywhere near here, unfortunately. I should have made one a while back. It would have made sense to have one. So yeah, why don't we just add a stone trasher? Or maybe I should add a super trasher. Be honest, that might be for the best. And then I can add in multiple trashed items. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. And then we're gonna just redirect the stone from this. So we're gonna need Another belt that comes over here. Comes down. This is so messy. And then we're gonna have to get through this mess? Oh gosh. Okay. So that will be byproduct stone. And I don't know if all of that's within construction range. Okay, it is. So then this comes from over here. What's that belt of ash? I don't like that it's full. I really don't like that it's full. What's going on here? This ash is coming from... Oh. Wait, what is that ash doing? Please tell me it's not filling a trasher. Okay, let's put station priority -1. Just to make sure... Oh, that's... I don't know what this is doing. This doesn't need to exist. This is screwing stuff up. Anyway, this ash is just being provided as an option for main ash provide. For when byproduct ash isn't enough. Okay, so that's fine. I'm okay with that. Anyway, back to this stone belt. I think the stone belt we're gonna have come over here. And up and to there. Okay, so that's the stone belt, and now we just need to get the stone from over here. No, really from over here. This is so messy. So messy. Oh my goodness. What am I doing? This is horrifying. Horrifical. It's horrifical. But it is done. So, there's that. Next, I want to go get sponges figured out, because we broke those again. We've improved stone. Circuits on trains is for later. Check sponges again is what we're doing now. So, the problem with sponges is confusing to me, because I thought we had properly addressed the issue last time, and we still hadn't. It's possible I just didn't put a big enough number on the check. Someone left a comment on YouTube, not to be rude, but like, you were just wrong. They were saying like the problem was that well, at least I think they're wrong. They're saying the problem is I slowed down the muddy sludge, but it's like the muddy sludge would prevent us from... Oh, no, the person on YouTube might be exactly right. Wait a second. Well, I might have misunderstood them. So, you know what? Whoever you were on YouTube, you're forgiven. You might be right. I'm not really remembering exactly what you said. You said something about the muddy sludge. So, the issue here is that, like, this worked correctly to stop making muddy sludge when Zogna was out. Which is true, and that would... But the problem is that would only slow these buildings down. So these buildings would then stop functioning, but we would still turn all the sea sponges into sprouts. So that actually, if that's what you were saying on YouTube, then I think you actually hit the nail on the head. So what we actually need to do here is prevent these inserters from running, or think we just need a classic combinator situation. Because we need to make sure we have Zogna. Greater than 2,000. And we want sponges less than 3. And then if that's true, we'll output the green signal. What? How does it reach that building but not this thing? That didn't make sense to me. Okay, and then these will run if green signal equals 1. Okay. I think that fixes it. Because what might have happened is we did run out of Zogna, and these did stop making muddy sludge, and these did eventually run out of muddy sludge, but the problem is these were still making sprouts from the sponges that were already there, and then the sprouts eventually spoiled. So I think that's what happened. Is Zogna always going to be greater than 2K? What's our request amount? Yeah, Zogna should have a minimum of around 6,000, so we should be fine on that front. So I think this will work for infinite sponges finally with no breakage. Did we screw it up again? Maybe. We'll find out someday. For now, we're gonna call it good enough. I'm still mad about this biosample thing. Can't believe we made biosamples twice. Alright, sponges checked. Next is improve moss. First I want to look at situation over here. Is there anything that can be done? I don't think so. Firing on all cylinders. We've got two full belts, which is the best we can do. I guess, what would be the alternative? The alternative would be, you know, I just figured this out. There's another way to mine stone. Now, it wouldn't result in stacked belts, which is, I mean, you could use stack inserters to do it. But what we could do is we could mine into a deposit. So we could just have our miners lined up like this and just surround a building, and then we can have, you know, stone, we can have filtered loaders. So there's our stone belts, there's our Keratin belts. The sad part about that is nothing gets stacked. We could also use stack inserters, of course, to stack things, but so that's one other way you could do stone mining that I hadn't really considered. Another even more streamlined way would be to use rectangular things like this, so you could mine a bunch into the side. But the problem is you then don't have a lot of belt outputs on this way, so I guess you could go like really long, you know, mine a bunch into here, and then you could have, you know, stack inserters out here making stacked belts with something filtered. But that feels like it's not that much different than what we're already doing, so I'm gonna say no to that. Okay, what's next? Improving moss. So let's go figure out how we can improve that moss throughput. Part of that is going to be actually having more moss farms. So I'm gonna add moss farm 20. But I think a bigger part of it is going to be changing our blueprint a little bit. Yeah, those are pretty cheap. So AutoMoss should be fine with that. Because the issue here is when it switches recipes, it unloads up to 40 stone. The issue is the 40 stone. So what's the easiest way to fix that? Can we set recipe and read contents? I'm thinking if we read contents, we can keep the stone inserters from inserting too much stone. We can keep it at 20. And that will cut in half the amount of stone that gets shoved back on the belt when it switches. Because when it switches, we're shoving 40 times 20. That's 800 stone gets shoved back onto the belt. If you think about it, math-wise, 800 divided by 15, that clogs up the belt for 53 seconds. That's ridiculous. We could cut that in half, down to 25 seconds. Another option would be to just not let it switch, ever. We only use the stone recipe. Is our stone requester a low priority? Yeah, I did make it a low priority stone request. It's also requesting on channel 3, so it'll request byproduct stone too. So that's always an option, is we just always stay on type 2, but then running out of stone means running out of moss, which seems dangerous. I did like this setup, being able to do what it does. Or if moss is greater than 3,000. Yeah, that feels wrong. Why don't we... Here, let's go ahead and make the moss container bigger. I don't think this is 72 stacks is enough. Because that's only 3,600 moss right there. That's not very much at all. So let's do that. And then we have a much larger moss receptacle. Now we've got 72,000. And then we'll say we switch over when we get to, I don't know, like 6,500 or something. Then we can switch over. I don't want it to be switching over if we're, you know, less than a few trainfuls. Because a trainful is 1,000. So that's 6 trainfuls of moss. And then if we still have more than that, I guess what we want, though, is we want one train to be able to come pick up stuff. So yeah, no, this needs to be more like 5,500. Because that way, we can make entire trainfuls on the free version without using any stone. And that's kind of what we want. If this situation is big enough to make extra moss with the free recipe, we kind of want that. We only want it to switch over to the stone recipe when it's kind of going too slow. So yeah, I think this is actually the right call. And then what we'll do is we'll add one more set here. I may need to add a robo port for this. Somewhere out here. Get some of that built. Okay. Nope, still not power. There we go. Okay, so now the bots should come build all that. And that will be controlled via the same situation. Wait. Oh, they're all just on set recipe. Right. And then we connect across this way. Okay. And then finally the stone comes down in. This comes back out. And this mess is, I guess, fine. We're gonna need something like this, this for the stone output. When this one has stone that it's recycling, we need stone to go right. Make sure we pick the correct stone. Okay, I guess since we're filtering items, this can only pick the correct stone. And then we merge in the moss. I can tell the bots are flying faster. It's a significant difference. It really does make a difference. It's still like not where we want bots to be in terms of their response time, but it is nice. It is nice. So I think this is working the way we want it to. This will buffer a bunch of stone between runs. Although, is this even enough? Hold on. 4. This is still 12. That's only 600. You know what? Actually, looking at this, I think we need to go bigger. For just the stone buffer. Because if all of these switch at the same time, that's 60 times 40. 6 times 4 is 24, 0, 0. That's 2,400 stone. Wait, for real? Oh my gosh, 2,400 stone? That's 48 stacks. Okay, so this is big enough. But that's pretty crazy, right? Like, that's a lot of stone out. And like we said, it takes like a full minute, potentially, for those to switch over. So, I don't want them to switch over lightly. I don't want them to switch over lightly. Hey, we made our first 1,000 Pi2 science packs. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Now, are all these running? Seems they are. Why is one side of the belt so much more filled up than the other? Is that just timing of things? Because this is such a long recipe? It might be. It might be. Okay, I'm gonna turn on my bots because they're gonna deliver the moss jewels. And given our moss production is fast enough, I should just be able to hoover up a bunch. Here to let things get built. Do I have enough bots? Oh, this moss is getting delivered from afar. Yep. Oh gosh. That was a mistake. Because yeah, I do have moss somewhere in storage chests, you know, and it's grabbing that. Oh well. You know, it's just time and a tiny bit of power that we're spending. Speaking of power, that probably needs to be next on our list. Goodness. Okay, and this whole thing will use up to 15 stone a second. If it's running at full speed, which is a lot of stone. I feel like there's one other way to get stone that we haven't mentioned. What is it? Yeah, coarse fraction. We looked into that though and it sucks butts. Not to be rude, but you know, it kind of does. Because the coarse fraction is really rough already. We only get 3 parts per 20 soil. So that's really just not gonna be it. Because then we're only getting 1/4 of 3, 0.75 parts per 20 soil. That's just ridiculous. I don't think that really has any home. You know, it could if we were desperate. But I think, again, at that point, it's just easier to mine the stone in the first place. Okay, now I will have to make sure our fluid inputs are enough here. So we need to check on that too. And then we should be done with the moss improving. So soil-wise, I'm going to guess this isn't enough, actually. Each one of these can consume up to 25. Yeah, we need 1 each. So we need another one. And that is too fast for 1 soil extractor. So we're gonna need 2 soil extractors. Feels like this would have been easier to just, I don't know, just like, just put that there. Well, the problem is we can't have the soil extractor direct inserting on this side. We'd have to have one on each side like that. I guess that would have been the other solution. But that should be plenty. And then the water. Down here. I guess we'll just do that. Those will get built. Water for all of them. Of course, we need 2 of these now. Okay. Now, CO2, we're just importing? No, what are we doing? 150. Should be plenty. If we're getting 5 a second. But we're not getting 5 a second. That could be problematic. Let's go fix that. Because we're using half of that, so we need 2.5 a second here. So that's pretty close to 5 a second, the max. And then this can support those. Okay, and then we'll pump up the request here a little bit, just to 30 stacks. I don't know why we cut it really close with a lot of those early stack size requests because I didn't want to over buffer, but like, man, that probably was a mistake. I think that was a mistake. Okay. Looks like the new systems are running. So this whole thing, if it's running at max capacity, producing 12 moss a second. That's enough. It's more just now about the stone requirement. And when it switches over off of stone, it's a pretty big cost in terms of time. So when we run out of stone, that's a problem. But this should finally start to catch up. And then when it finally gets above 5.5 thousand, they should all switch over, which will delay things for a minute. But once they switch over to the free version and keep things supplied with the free version, hopefully that can run for a while and generate enough moss too, because now we have 50% more per second from the free version. Okay. Check on Cotton Gut Sushi Belt. Oh, and we did this. Connect ash and flue gas from ash. Sweet. Okay. We're making some progress. So now check on the Cotton Butts Sushi. Let's go take a look at that. Traffic, man. It's getting real. When do we get train braking force, by the way? We don't get that until Blue Science. This actually has a surprising effect on traffic. It really adds up, because when trains can brake faster, they can go further before they have to slow down, and that actually changes how much... Well, actually, wait. Does it change traffic? I don't remember. It definitely helps, but I don't know how. Yeah, we've definitely screwed this belt up. What are we doing here? Are the counts just too high? Seems like I did the count too high. So... this is all annoying how this is all set up, because I can't just have this one go there. I guess the easiest way at this point, and these are all linked, I really got to stop doing that. What I need to do is like that. So that way if I mess with one of these, it doesn't break the other ones. So what I think I'm going to do instead is move moon drops, which are currently at 300, to the other side. But I'm going to have to do it in a weird way because I don't have the space here. I guess we can bring them over to this side and then side load onto that side. But I need one space to be able to wire up this belt. So then we do moon drop 300. So then that puts those on a different side and hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps. And these are running out of cotton butts themselves. Is that because all the butts are getting pulled off? Yeah, wait, why are we not pulling butts? Only if we need to. Wow, this is really crazy. I feel like I did the rates wrong or something. Let me remeasure. What's the size of this sushi loop? Size is freaking massive, by the way, but 260, 360 is kind of the size. So about double that should be about 3.875 items a second, half of the 7.5. And then barrels, I've got it 250. These are only running if cotton guts are less than 250. What I'm not doing is slowing the buildings down. There's no restriction on these buildings. So eventually the belt will get jammed up with cotton butts. That's okay. I think that's a, well, no, it won't. Eventually the belt will have 250 cotton butts on it. I can't stop saying cotton butts. It's surprisingly fun to say. If you're like, oh my gosh, the joke's old. It's not even a joke anymore. It's just fun to say. Anyway, cotton guts, as soon as they're at 250, then we'll stop making new pups. And then at that point, these will die out eventually and stop crafting. So that should be fine too. And they are placing onto the less busy side of the belt here. So I think we're okay. And then we just need these to only pull off cotton guts above a certain number. Greater than, let's say, 120. And that way, there's always some number on the belt to be feeding these, because this one's never getting. This might be the thing that the person was talking about forever ago. Someone made a comment about the cotton gut factory, and I think this might have been the thing they were trying to say. That might have been the thing they were trying to communicate. Just feels like this mixer is not doing its job. I guess being part of such a long belt is part of the problem. Maybe I should implement the double mix strategy, you know? Mix even more over here. Oh, that doesn't, I don't have space. But the double mixer's a thing too. Oh gosh, now we're out of trains again. A lot of stone being moved. I guess I don't have that many trains at the end of the day for the size of my base. Okay, well, I think that was really the only improvement we needed to make. We put the moondrops on the other side, so that should help with belt saturation. And then we made it so that we only pull cotton butts off if we have a certain amount, which should mean that this building finally gets its pups. And that should allow all of these buildings to run. Though, these are both running. Shouldn't these three be making enough? That makes 1.5 a second. Yeah. If these three are running constant, but then if these two were running constantly, shouldn't that have made enough for this plus like this? Why aren't these... Why isn't this chunk running too? Because they're not running constantly. Why are they stopping? Waiting for source items. Oh, the mixer's not succeeding. Maybe because the belt is so jammed up. Huh. It might be because the belt is so... I mean, wait a second. You know, I haven't even considered... Well, no, that's the whole point of the mixer. But I was like, what if an item doesn't even come around until... Interesting. Huh. I'm not 100% confident in this. The sushi belt might be too unwieldy. So now we're jamming up the water belt side. Water barrel belt side. It just feels like the mixer hasn't really succeeded. Maybe this is one of those things that we gotta check on it again, like 10, 20 minutes from now, because things take... How long do they take to loop? We already said the belt is 3... No, how many units? Yeah, roughly 360 units. So that means... Why do I have a 0 on me? Oh no. That was glitchy. That was something with tape line. Anyway, 360 units takes 180 seconds. It takes 3 minutes for something to make it around the loop. So it makes sense that the mixer is kind of gonna be slow. Maybe I need to make the mixer longer? I don't know. I'm honestly kind of at a loss for how to do this properly. Let's make the mixer a little bit longer. I think that will help on average. And then let's measure the mixer too. Maybe part of the problems is we weren't measuring the mixer. Maybe we need to measure the mixer. Because then it caused us to maybe add too much at once. I don't know. Of course, this is in the way. Okay. Make the mixer longer. That's my strategy. And I'm gonna go refill stuff. My inventory is gone. And I'm just gonna hope that that fixes it. We'll check on it again in a little while. See, that one's out of moondrops now. Because we have enough, it's just been so long. There's 350 on the belt. They're just all concentrated in one area. Huh. I don't know. My gut says it should work, but the results are looking like they're not working. So I don't know what's going on. Now let's go refill our inventory and then maybe take a look at power, which means we're gonna need. Oh shoot. I forgot to remove that request. So now we've just got tons of extra moss farms. Okay, well that's fine. Temp crafting A, let's get coal power plants going. How many do we want? I think let's plan our next power plant a bit more officially. So we want power from the high pressure steam turbine. So let's plan for, I don't know. How much do we want? 2 gigawatts? 3 gigawatts? Let's see what it would look like to do 3 gigawatts here. That's gonna last me for a while. So from an oil power plant perspective, it'd be 270 kerosene, which would be that much heavy oil, which would be that much shale oil, which would be, oh my gosh, 203 keragen a second. Yeah, I don't think we're doing that. What are my other ways to make heavy oil? There's the low distillates. Which bitumen's the path for that? 1,000 bitumen. I'm just curious, like how much oil sand this actually is. Not that much, weirdly enough. I mean, this is a huge build, don't get me wrong, but like only 16 oil sand. It's really not that crazy. And the naphtha, you know, we know is not that expensive. It can come from a lot of sources. Primarily the raw gas processing chain gives you almost pure naphtha, because the condensates can be turned into naphtha by going to refined natural gas and then, you know, yeah, you guys get what I'm saying. And then the natural gas itself, I guess, can't be turned into it. But anyway, all that to say, that's probably not the route we're going. We're probably going with hot molten salt from coal power plants. What would the other one be? The biocrud one be? Biomass power plant Mark 1. What would this actually look like? It's only 2.5 biocred a second. That's crazy. So the real cost is the wood. We would need 76 wood a second for that. Or we would need, you know, tons and tons of fiber, which at least right now, this isn't the way to do it, right? Yeah, because it doesn't double the power. So we would want to use the raw fiber if we were doing that. There's also treated wood, which is better, but that's a crap ton of creosote. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're not going to be able to get that much creosote anytime soon. 3 gigajoules is a lot, I'm learning. That's a lot of power at this stage of the game. Maybe we should work on tidal power plants. Maybe we should do tidal power. So let's just imagine we were doing raw fiber. How much raw fiber would that be? Yeah, it's even worse in terms of wood. Only 5 kickout a second, but then you actually plug that in and you realize that that's And that's not accounting for the seeds, so that's like 200 or 300 kickout plantations. And then compared to all of that, all of those things, instead, we could just do 135 raw coal, which is a lot too. Oh my gosh, that much ash. How do you even process that much ash? Like, even if you're running ash separation full time, you need 14 of those? Huh. Tidal power is becoming more and more attractive. Wind power feels so expensive, and they have the variance. And why do they have two different types of wind turbines? Like, is that even necessary? That feels so random. Vertical axis wind turbine and horizontal axis wind turbine. Do we really need two? That just feels like too much. But yeah, the tidal power, I mean, they're expensive, but that's 6 megawatts forever. I don't know. I'm actually inclined to do some renewable power here. And that should research pretty fast, I would hope. Yeah, they're all running for the first time in a while. And that'll give our Pi 2... Well, glassware. Wait. That's not what I expected to run out of. That is not what I expected to run out of. It seems rubber stoppers are the problem here. I guess that... Wait, is it just the rate of rubber stoppers is too slow? I guess I never considered that side of things. Gosh. My rubber output is literally just not fast enough? That's silly of me. And that only makes 0.4 rubber stoppers, and these can use up to 1.33. Yeah, and how much glassware did we actually need for it? 0.46. Oh my god, that's so much more rubber that I didn't account for. We are doing, yeah, we actually need more rubber. I mean, we just can't even support this because of rubber. We need more rubber. So that needs to happen. Let's look at that void naphtha real quick, just because that one's gonna be fast. That's over here. Now naphtha has a fuel value, right? Yeah, 600 kilojoules, so we could use it. We could also make tall oil. Or syngas when you add in some chromium and cold steam. Or you add in steam and you get free hydrogen. That's a weird way to make hydrogen, but it would work. But yeah, I don't know why we forgot to void excess naphtha here. This should just be an overflow situation. And it feels bad because like we could use it to make more steam and oil burner. Like we could do all sorts of stuff with it, but like that's true already. We already have the byproduct naphtha ready to go anywhere in the base. We can pick it up, so we can set that up whenever we want, but we're just not utilizing it. So for now, we just need to delete the extra. At some point, you have too much. But yeah, I mean, we could make tall oil in light oil refineries, and then with that tall oil, you can mix that with light oil to get benzene. That's kind of a good way to make benzene, I guess. But we already have some Nexolite with BTX as an option too. Did we put this as a high or low priority on the methane? It's at priority 0. Where's the moondrop methane at? One. Good. Okay. The renewable and free. Wait. Why is this? What did I break? Oh. I didn't break it. I never built it right. Shoot. And of course it's like just out of the range. So to even get that thing built, I'm gonna have to build another random roboport there. Okay, so that fixes that. Did I have that on my list? Void naphtha. Okay, and then finally the rubber stuff. What can I really do right now? I can't really do anything at this very moment. Oh gosh, that's not powered. When do I get a better rubber recipe? We don't get anything. This is all we get until blue science. Okay. So we're just gonna have to make a big build for this 4x rubber. The other one is almost certainly never gonna be an option. I mean, it's hard to imagine. It does use half the latex, but it uses way more carbon black. Now we do get carbon black from the biocrud reprocessing recipe, so that's a potential option. Or from this one is the one I was thinking of. A little bit of log, a lot of biocrud, a little bit of red hot coke, some steam, and that gets us a lot of random outputs, among which is a good amount of carbon black. So there is that, but the problem is the oleochemicals, which just require a ton of lard. And like, lard is such a problem, I just can't imagine this being a thing. Oof. Where's the bot? Wait, where is it? Oh, here it is. It's coming. Okay. Save the day. There we go. Still, this is pretty rough. And we need another factory. Okay, let's go do that part. That part we can do. Although, now that I think about it, would another factory... What's the actual max production? I know I have 1 per second from the building, but is that supported? This is where we will use our PRCE price. I'm going to call it price. Price? I guess price doesn't even work. But yeah, if we look at all of this together... What's the way to interpret this? So like, if I only did this... Oh, it does show the products as less. Okay. Okay, so we are getting 1 a second rubber out of all that. And 50 a second formic acid. I don't know if I am making enough rugs for that, but that's a different question. Okay, so then here... I hate automated factories so much. They're just so annoying. Like, I'm so much better off just doing this. And I know this feels weird, but like, man, I can just get double the speed. I can get quadruple the speed like this. And then this comes up, fuels them. Ash gets output, you know, onto some silly belt out here. Oh, that's kind of funny. And then this is the actual rubber stopper output. I'm one power pole short. I'm always one power pole short. So that'll be rubber stoppers, and then these need a filter on ash. And these need a filter on rubber stoppers. Okay. So then we got something like that. And then we just need one of these. And I mean, this whole getup is smaller almost. I mean, maybe not literally, like, it might be a tile wider, but I don't know. Aren't automated factories like 9x9 or something? Or 8x8? They're huge. So it's just silly to me. The automated factories really need to be faster. I know in hard mode this is a little trickier because you would need, you know, a way to get rid of the ash properly, but I don't know. I think automated factories are way too slow. Okay, so this will at least allow me to utilize a lot more of the rubber to make rubber stoppers. So, anyway, we're gonna have rubber problems for a while. What do we want to work on next, though? Maybe Vrauk food? In terms of Pi 2 problems to fix, we've looked at stone bricks already. So that's good. Alright, well, we're going to have to call it an episode here. We've gotten some good pruning of the Zen garden done, along with, you know, we actually did build something, which was more moss. So, as always, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll see you all in the next one.